Hello and welcome to Fast Horses. Today we are going to be covering the start of the race week over at Santa Anita, which is on Friday, January 30th. They've got an 8-race card there. So let's get started over on Santa Anita's Friday card. So the Friday card starts at 12:30 Pacific time, so that's 2:30 here in the Central Time Zone with the first race. We're going to skip over the first couple races. I'm going to play the late pick 4 on the Friday card. I feel like, Friday's card's a little bit light with field sizes, so, it's a little tough to just make win bets in some of those races. So I think that, maybe there'll be some value here in the late pick 5. We've got some short prices, but, there's a couple races where we might see something big. A couple favorites get beat, and as we've seen, on these Friday afternoon, all the afternoons over there at Santa Anita, if a couple favorites get beat, those pick 5s really skyrocket and pay nicely. So that's what we're gonna try and do for Friday. So let's get started in the fourth race. Fourth race has an approximate post time about 2:08 Pacific. It's 4:08 here in the Central Time Zone. And the fourth race is a maiden $50,000 claiming race for 3-year-old horses. They're going a mile on the grass, so 2 turns. Some 2-turn test here for some of them. Some of these horses, they're just, they've been running in maiden special weights, and they're finally, just going to drop them in, find a place where they can win. And I'm going to take 2 of those horses. Both of them have been running in special weights, so they're making the drop today. I think one of these 2 horses should get the pick 5 started and advanced. I'm going to go with the 1 horse who was Biggie for Doug O'Neill, his barn, and he puts Ismail Jaramillo on the horse. Now, we've seen Jaramillo riding really well, winning races. I mean, I think, with the injury to Umberto Rispoli, a guy like Ismail Jaramillo could definitely win a jockey title there over at Santa Anita this winter, spring. So Jaramillo's got the favorite here at 3-2. That's Biggie. Now this horse has been running in the maiden special weight rank, so takes the drop in here to 50,000. Been running just some even races, has shown a little talent in some of those races there, and I'm just guessing, the O'Neill barn's getting realistic, and they want to win a race here, so this is probably the spot to do it, because I don't think this horse will win at a maiden special weight rank. So let's give this horse a shot here. Biggie. I think the drop in class, the addition of Jaramillo, the 1 hole here, this horse should get a nice trip. And we'll see if this horse can finish up and do something here and get this win. We're also going to put the 5 horse who is Keegman. Keegman comes in for the George Papapadromo barn, and he puts William Pyle on the horse. Now, William Pyle, don't really know a whole lot about William Pyle. It looks like, been riding just a short time here. Not exactly sure of the background of this jock. He shows 1 win, in 9 starts. That 1 win coming, in a maiden, I think it was a maiden race there. He won a 2-turn race on the dirt. So it looks like, Papapadromo, certainly been training well, getting winners. So he puts Pyle on this horse. Maybe it's because of the injury to Rispoli. He's looking for a rider here. Makes a couple changes, as I mentioned, puts Pyle on the horse, gets Lasix first time, which most of them here do because they are newly 3-year-olds, and puts blinkers on. So we'll see if those 3 changes makes Keegman, more competitive. This horse has a very similar profile to the 1 horse, Biggie. They've run together a few times. To me, they kind of seem like the same horse, so it'll just be a matter of who gets the better trip, who might get the better ride. I think they both have about equal ability. So I think one of these 2 should win the race here on the drop, and we'll move on from there. So let's go over to the 5th race of the day. Now the 5th race is a 6-furlong dirt sprint, and these are condition claimers. These are fillies, $10,000 claimers, non-winner of 2. So, these are, your bottom rung there in Southern California. And it looks like Bob Hess kind of has this race cornered. He's got 2 horses here. I think both of them do have a shot. We're going to put them both in. The first being Morgan's Bluff. Kent DeSormo takes the ride here. Now, at one time, you could really rely on the Bob Hess-Kent DeSormo pairing. It's been a while there that, we'll see if this works, with putting Kent D on. Morgan's Bluff has, the experience of having some races, has run in longer races. So, the shorten up to 6 furlongs, we'll see how she does with that. She comes off a race there at Santa Anita. She ran a couple weeks ago, and there's a quick turnaround here, which I actually do like. I like when trainers bring their horses back. Bring them back at the same level, so probably feels this horse is competitive. Morgan's Bluff's going to probably have to beat out her stablemate, that being the 2-horse Aloha Dreamin'. Bob Hess puts this horse in here too. Armando Ayuso takes the call. This horse is even money in the program. Now, when Bob Hess was really rolling well, you might remember this horse came off a pretty long layoff, running first time at Indiana Downs back in 2024, and Horseshoe Indianapolis, sorry. And they brought this horse over to Del Mar. The horse won pretty nicely off a pretty long layoff. The horse ended up running at Santa Anita here in this meet about a week back. So pretty cool. That I like that Hess brings this horse back in a short time. This horse showed some speed, ran with better on the turf, on a turf sprint. I think this horse, should be ready to go with a field like this. So we'll have the 1 and the 2 here to try to move along this pick 5 in the 5th race. So let's move over to the 6th race now. Now, the 6th race is a $25,000 claimer. These are also fillies, and these horses are going a mile on the grass, so 2-turn event here. And these are multiple winners. So, this is on the turf course, on grass racing there in Southern California. $25,000 is the bottom rung. So this is a bottom rung race. I think it's pretty open. I'm going to put 5 horses in this race, hoping we might be able to beat a favorite or so and get a price in, maybe boost up this pick 5 payout potential. I'm going to put the 1 in, who is Candy Bar for Bob Hess. Bob Hess has several very live horses today, or for Friday, and I think it could be a multiple win day for Bob Hess barn. He puts Tyler Bays on the horse. Bays has been riding this horse in her last several. Beat better over at Del Mar on a 2-turn race there on the grass. So there's a drop in here. Maybe the Hess barn, got off to kind of a slow start. Maybe just wants to cook it up now and drop in horses looking for wins here. So this horse does drop in to the $25,000 level. So it should be very competitive. 5-2, we'll put Candy Bar in. Going to put the 2 horse, who is also trained by Bob Hess. This is Chai. Chai is, if you like your chai, if you like your chai lattes, if you like your chai with no sugar, we're going to go with some chai here today at Santa Anita. This horse is, dropping in from not from maidens, but from allowance races. So this horse drops into the $25,000 claiming race. They put Ayuso on the horse, and they put blinkers on. So some changes here the Hess barn is doing. This horse is 12-1. I think this horse certainly has a chance just because of the drop. Maybe this will make this horse faster. We'll see how competitive Chai will be here in the 6th race. Going to also put the 5 horse. The 5 horse being Tam's Little Angel for Hector Palma. Hector Palma legs up Mirko de Moro on this horse here. And, she shows a pretty good record at Santa Anita on the grass. She's won 4 races on the Santa Anita grass. Has been in and around this level, running in sprints in these claiming levels and running pretty well. So we'll see what she does with the 2-turn event. You never know. Maybe the rails are out. Maybe Tam's Little Angel gets out there and goes and wires the field. 5-1. We'll take a price here at 5-1 with Tam's Little Angel. That's the 5 horse. Going to put the 6 horse, who is Big Mama Sue. Big Mama Sue comes in for Steve Miotti, and William Pyle takes the call. Now, we talked about William Pyle before. We'll see. William Pyle's getting some horses that might be live. We'll see what he can do with these horses. So this horse, last year, at the early part of the Santa Anita meeting, Big Mama Sue was in really good form and winning races at this level, and she would have been dominant in today's race, if this was a year ago. So we'll see if she rounds herself back into form here. She has a race over the turf course this meeting, so maybe that was a tightener, a workout, type of thing. We'll see what the second time, this meeting, if she can do something here. And she's 8-1, so she's a price. And then finally, we're going to put the 8 horse. 8 horse being Shin Jadai. Shin Jadai comes in for Leonard Powell. Powell legs up Ricardo Gonzalez here. Now, this team has done not much when they've paired together. But, Gonzalez has ridden this horse the last couple times. The Leonard Powell barn has really been a little bit cold lately. And, I know he won a race sometime last week. I think he won a race. We'll see if the Leonard Powell barn is going to be heating it up here, this coming week and, in the weeks to come here at the Santa Anita meeting. So this horse is 3-1. She's certainly no secret here. She's been running, in this level, had been running with better as well, running some even races. So we're going to put the 8 horse, who is Shin Jadai. Okay, now on to 7th race. This is a maiden special weight race here, and these are fillies and mares, California breds, and they're going 5.5 furlongs on the dirt. So a quick dirt sprint here for 3-year-olds. I think it's a pretty open race. There's going to be some horses here I think are going to get bet on, pretty good here. The first one being the 1 horse, who is Good Golly Tis Molly. Now, if you look at the pedigree here, Good Golly, 'Tis Molly. This is a sister, little sister to the Chosen Vron, and I'm sure there'll be talk about that. She's got monster of a brother. He's one of the better cowbreds that we've seen in a while, Chosen Vron. So we'll see, how his little sister, Good Golly, 'Tis Molly, ends up being. She ran a race earlier in the Santa Anita meet. It was back like in that first week of the meeting. She ran second in a same type of level here, a maiden special weight cowbred race. She ran a nice second that day. She didn't come close to winning that race, but maybe it was just a getting her over the track type thing. She did show some ability. She'll have to work on getting out of that one hole there and running in a 5.5 furlong race. So maybe the pressure will be on her from the start. So we'll see. She's 3-1. Hector Barrios takes the call again. Barrios rode her last time. We'll see how Chosen Vron's little sister runs. We'll put her in there. Going to also put the 3-horse. The 3-horse being Goji. Goji for the George Papa Padromo barn. Papa Padromo puts Edwin Maldonado on the horse. So, I think the Papa Padromo barn has got some work to do because it seems like, he was using Umberto Rispoli quite a bit, in his, for his stable. So now that Rispoli's not there, he'll have to work with other riders and, get them going and get some good wins. So first time Maldonado is always a good thing. This horse ran with Good Golly, 'Tis Molly. Ended up getting beaten, but not by much by her. So that, maybe it's the kind of thing where Goji could turn the tables here. Certainly first time Maldonado's a good angle. This horse might show some speed. She had the one hole last time. Didn't get out all that great and just kind of, I think, was a little compromised. Maybe the second start could do some, little magic for the 3-horse Goji. So we'll put her in there. Going to put the 4-horse was Cammie's Girl. Cammie's Girl for the Daniel Dunham barn. Now, Daniel Dunham, smaller barn, doesn't run a whole lot, but, he certainly can get some winners. He puts Tiago Pereira on the horse. Pereira had ridden really well over the last weekend, got several wins. I was kind of wondering when Tiago Pereira was going to pipe up, but he certainly did. Cammie's Girl's 8-1. She comes off one start. She ran over at Del Mar back in the fall. She ran in a maiden $50,000 claimer. So this is a step up, but I don't know how much of a step up this is. We'll see. I thought she ran a really nice race. She had the tough one-hole spot there at Del Mar in a short race there. Didn't get out too well. Kind of trailed the field, and she made a move. So I think Cammie's Girl can certainly improve. And even with the step up in class, she could certainly improve there as well. So she's 8-1. Maybe we'll get a price there on the 4-horse Cammie's Girl. Going to put the 6-horse with Tate Bats for Doug O'Neill. Doug O'Neill puts Mike Smith on the horse here. Blinkers go on as well, so a couple changes there. Now, Tate Bats ran at the Del Mar meet as well in a maiden special weight, so she had one start under her belt, and she was a favorite that day. She got out, kind of nice, and she's kind of a stalking trip, but she didn't finish up and win. So maybe that was a good education for her. Certainly, Doug O'Neill has been doing everything right. So putting a Doug O'Neill horse into your ticket seems to be a really good move. Tate Bats is 9-2. Mike Smith should get a nice stalking trip. We'll see if he can finish up and win a short sprint. And finally, going to put the 8-horse was Krista McAuliffe. Krista McAuliffe, Stephen Miotti, trainer. Miotti is a first starter. Now, horse shows some nice works. Miotti puts on William Pyle. So we've mentioned William Pyle several times. This horse is 8-1. I'm giving William Pyle a big shot here, putting him in several races. We're going to see if this guy can ride and, give him a shot here. I think that, if he wins a couple of these, should be some nice prices and can really make a nice payoff. So, Miotti barn, could win first time out. Again, this is a first starter. I don't know how great this field really is. So I think a first starter like this certainly could be, a factor here. Horse by Grayson. We see a lot of nice Grayson offspring doing well in the cow ranks. So maybe Krista McAuliffe, could do something here at 8-1. So we will put her in there in the 7th race. All right, now we're going to go to the last race of the day. Last race is the 8th race. This is a mile on the grass, and there's a starter allowance race here. Starter allowance of $16,000. So that means horses who have run for $16,000 claiming or less in 25 and 26. So I think there's a single here. The horse fits really nicely here. We're going to put everything in on this, hopefully have some nice prices, and wait for this single to pay us off in this late pick 5, and that being the 6-horse, who is Trusty Rusty. Another Bob Hess horse. What do you know? Bob Hess, another live one here on the Friday card. Looks like Bob Hess, as I mentioned, has got some live horses on this Friday card. Juan Hernandez takes the call. Hernandez has ridden this horse. Now this horse, if you were watching the Southern California races last year, this horse was really busy at the Del Mar meet last summer. Ended up having 3 starts in that meet, which is quite a bit of starts for that meet. That's almost seems to be the maximum that you could probably do in that short meet. So this horse was really busy, ran very well, and including a win over the turf course there in the same type of level of a starter allowance. This horse was also popular in the claim box at Del Mar. Horse got claimed for 16, and then Bob Hess claimed this horse for 32. So we really like this horse. Looks like he got his money back with a couple wins after he claimed this horse. He's figuring out races and fitting this horse in these starter allowance categories and, doing well with them. So this horse is 9-5 in the program. Here's what I really like about this horse today, on Friday, I should say. I think this horse has been given a bit of a break, almost 2 months, nearly 2 months. And I think the horse needed the break. As I mentioned, the horse was really busy. Looked like Bob Hess really put this horse on a tough campaign. Horse, I'm sure, was feeling well, and he was doing well. So he just kept putting him out there. But, maybe after that Los Al win that the horse got on the dirt, he gave this horse a bit of a break, and the horse probably needed it. So I think this horse should come out fresh. Works are fine. I don't know what you'd really make out of Works, for, an old timer who's had so many starts. I think it's just a matter of Bob Hess figuring out to give this horse a break. Let's thank him for the great work he's done for our barn. He's been a great claim. We'll put him back out here and find another starter allowance, which they did. So I think Trusty Rusty is going to be very tough in this last race here. He is going to be a single for me in this late pick 5. So that would be the pick 5 there. So let's recap the day and recap the bets. Okay, so for Friday's card, we've got a late pick 5 ticket, which does start in the 4th race on the Friday card. So in the 4th race, we're going to start out the pick 5. 4th race, we're going to go with the 1-5, with the 1-2, with the 1-2-5-6-8, with the 1-3-4-6-8, with the single of the 6 Trusty Rusty. Now that ticket today is going to be a $50 ticket. I think it's worth it. If Trusty Rusty can bring us home, if we can catch a couple prices and a couple of those legs there before, I think we'll get a nice payoff there on this pick 5 ticket. So if you want to play that ticket as is, I wish you the best of luck. That's the ticket I'm going to play. You can always add or subtract to it, or play the pick 3s or pick 4 within that ticket. Whatever you decide to do, I wish you the best of luck. Let's wish the folks over at Santa Anita a very safe day of racing to open up their race week. Let's wish ourselves some good luck and some good trips, as we know that can make all the difference in winning and losing. So as always, I thank you so much for watching Fast Horses today and listening to the picks. Thanks to everybody who subscribed from the start up until this past weekend. We've had a lot of new viewers. Thank you very much. If you haven't done so, please hit that subscribe button. You can always like, dislike, make comments. Make good comments, make bad comments. I promise to respond to everything. Let's start off this race week at Santa Anita on a winning note, and we'll see you back this weekend. Thank you.